Well, the World Health Organization has cautioned countries against hastily imposing travel restrictions linked to the new B1.1.529 variant of COVID-19. It says the governments should take a risk-based and scientific approach. The United Kingdom and several countries in Europe have already issued travel bans in southern African countries. South Africa is in the process of reviving its economy. It follows months of lockdown. Tourism is, of course, one of the sectors badly hit by the pandemic. Well, let's take this discussion further. We're joined via Zoom by MEC for Tourism in KwaZulu-Natal Province, Ravi Pillay. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Pillay. Thank you for joining us here on SA Today.
Good afternoon to you and to your viewers.
I mean, we are approaching festive season, and now there's a new variant of concern at play. Firstly, what is your reaction as the sector to these new developments emerging?
Well, I think it's necessary to have a relevant degree of concern, but not to overreact and panic. I think we are more concerned about the reaction of the UK and the European countries in restricting travel. We've been working very hard to restore our tourism sector, which, as you said in the earlier interview, was the hardest hit, quite decimated over time. And we have been very encouraged by what we thought was going to be a good recovery. From the 15th to the 21st of November, for example, we had the Intra-Africa Trade Fair at the ICC in Durban, and we had about 2,000 or 3,000 international delegates. Our hotels, after a long time, were starting to get filled, and it was a real boost to our tourism sector. So we are concerned about the impact on our tourism, our tourists at the international level. But we're also encouraged by the stance taken by our president and our health minister, whom we just heard, and that the lobbying will be quick and hard to persuade them to take a different decision. Even our scientists are backing us up that it's I think the professor called it a knee-jerk reaction, and we would share that particular view.
Mr. Pillay, we've seen unprecedented socio-economic impact on the livelihoods of millions of people in South Africa. And obviously tourism is a major sector that accounts for quite a large portion of the GDP at large in South Africa. Now, KwaZulu-Natal is usually filled with travelers in this season. I mean, have you started planning on how to deal with this variant? What's the way forward for the province?
No, I think we are very pleased that our sector has been preparing very strongly. I think they understand the responsibility that goes with being a service provider in this sector. And I think they've maximized all the precautions that are necessary. Of course, we have gone on a very aggressive domestic marketing campaign. We believe we are the premier domestic destination in the country, and we want to urge all our domestic visitors to be assured that we have put the necessary protocols and protective measures in place, but also urge that ultimately it's a personal and to a certain extent family level discipline that's required to be maintained at all times. So we are still hopeful about this December season. As I indicated, we just had the Intra-Africa Trade Fair in November, which was a huge success. Our figures are relatively low compared to that in Gauteng at the moment, so we don't think there's any extraordinary risk in KZN, and we are committed to putting in, as I said, the maximum level of protocols and discipline. We also think that the product we offer is not going to enhance the risk. I mean, whether it's our beaches or our mountains, those are open air, properly ventilated, and coupled with a personal and family discipline, we believe would be very, very minimal risk. Plus the disciplines and protocols in our tourism facilities itself. Of course, we are mindful that the National Command Council will be meeting tomorrow, I believe, and we're quite confident the correct decision will be taken, that the proper balance between risk and the economy will be considered. But let me also make the point that I read an article today where it was described the reaction of the international community, or some parts of the international community, was described as performance punishment. In other words, our scientific community is advanced and competes with the best in the world, and they're able to do the research and make the announcements, but are being punished for this, and especially at a time when there's no evidence that this particular variant will increase the risk significantly. I also want to take this opportunity to urge all our people to really accelerate the vaccination program. The one thing I must express concern about is the still level of vaccine hesitancy and even a frightening level of fake news that's being circulated around this matter, even to the extent of doctoring videos to convey a complete opposite message to what the original video is intended. And I think that must be countered quite strongly. And we do believe that the vaccine remains our greatest defense at this point in time, together, of course, with the protocols. So in conclusion on that matter, we think that KZN is ready. Our tourism sector has worked very, very hard to prepare for our visitors, and we hope that we will have a successful festive season.
All right, Mr. Ravi, I mean, you have said a lot, and I want to perhaps just wrap up this conversation on the back of what you've echoed regarding the NCCC meeting this weekend to discuss the way forward as the country is dealing with this new variant and also the imminent fourth wave. So far, does KwaZulu-Natal have any plans or concerns rather, to bring to the table? Are there any plans of restricting travel, especially from hotspot provinces like Gauteng?
Well, that'll be a task of the National Command Council. We would urge against that. We believe that reviving the economy is a very, very important consideration during COVID, which we are still there. But as you would know, in KZN, we're also recovering from the unrest in July. And I think we're quite successful in really bouncing back on a hashtag KZN rising message. So we would, well, certainly I can't speak on behalf of our Premier, but from the economic sector, having consulted with the industry partners, we would urge strongly against that kind of prohibition. I think there are lesser measures which can be taken to mitigate the risk, and we hope that that is what the decision will be.
All right, KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Tourism, Ravi Pillay, thank you very much for your time. Again, just discussing further the impact of the newly announced Omicron variant.